Snow is falling across parts of northern Saudi Arabia as an intense weather system grips the kingdom.
Do you notice it? Every single day, the world out there keeps throwing more troubles that threaten people's lives. Bad news just keeps pouring in like waves crashing. Time feels squeezed tight, and the future seems shaky right in front of us. The world is reeling just like the Bible warned. Collapse in Brazil, snow covering the Saudi Arabian desert, streets boiling in Australia, drones roaring over the Mediterranean, bizarre festivals in the Austrian Alps, and bloodshed in Aleppo, everything hitting at once, without warning. Is this just coincidence, or pieces of a script that's already been written? If time really is running short, what will you choose to believe before it's too late? So don't miss the messages that God has cleverly placed through these shocking news stories below. Come with me as we pierce through the veil of truth, dig deep into the events shaking the world, and uncover what they really mean. Right now, I'll start with the hottest news of the day. 1. Dam completely shattered in Brazil, floodwaters swallow up a town, signs of the end times rolling in. Boom! A huge explosion shook everything, no warning siren, no time to get ready. In just a moment, the dam at Ponte Alta do Bom Jesus in Tocantins state, Brazil, gave way like some invisible hand pulled out its last support. The water rushed out, fast and merciless, sweeping away things that used to feel so familiar. Nobody expected an ordinary morning to start like that. Ponte Alta do Bom Jesus is a small, quiet town where the Ribeirão River runs through like part of the slow pace of life. The dams around there have been standing for decades, long enough that folks got used to them and figured everything was under control. Heavy rains went on for days. There were technical warnings, local news reports, all of it showed up, then got ignored, like so many times before. That was until the morning of the 19th. Water rose over the dam wall more than 15 meters high, poured down into a flood hundreds of meters wide, turning streets into rivers and rooftops into makeshift shelters. Rescue teams had to use boats and helicopters to get people out of the low areas where the water rose faster than anyone could react. No official word on deaths yet, but hundreds of families lost their homes in just a few hours, leaving behind empty spaces that are hard to put into words. Pictures from above show bridges broken apart, land cracked open, tiny figures of people on rooftops waiting for help. The Watchers News called it a sudden flood, but for the folks there, it was the moment they realized something they thought was solid could vanish so quick. That feeling of normal doesn't come back after the water goes down. Some point to climate change, El Niño, old infrastructure, and not enough upkeep. Those explanations make sense, and they're important. But then another question comes up, real quiet. If it's all just technical stuff and weather, why do these same kinds of collapses keep happening in different places, almost at the same time, with that same fragile feeling? In the Bible, there are words that don't shout or push, they just sit there quietly, like a distant echo. All these are the beginning of sorrows. Matthew wrote that. Not tied to any one place, no specific date or time. Reading it now, in light of this, it doesn't feel like a final answer, more like a gentle reminder that makes you stop and think. Maybe what's worth noticing isn't just naming the causes, but the shared feeling that's spreading. Things we thought were stable aren't as sure anymore. One dam breaking in Brazil might just be a single event, but it could also be the first crack in a surface we still believe is safe. And if one support gave way so quietly like that, the question left is, how many others are quietly taking on pressure we haven't noticed yet? 2. Snow blankets, the Saudi Arabian desert. The Saudi Arabian desert, long known as a place of scorching heat and burning sand, suddenly got covered in thick white snow. The golden dunes vanished overnight, replaced by a chilly scene no one there had ever expected. Local folks rushed outside in total amazement, skiing on the desert sands, tossing snowballs in what used to be the driest spot on Earth. But is this just a rare treat from nature, or something that's got us all wondering? It happened in the Tabuk and Hale areas, up in northern Saudi Arabia, where summer temperatures often top 100 degrees Fahrenheit. News outlets like Al Arabiya and Khalij Times reported that a strong weather system from the Mediterranean pushed cold air deep into the Arabian Peninsula, causing this unusual cold snap. The Jabal al-Lawz area, over 8,000 feet high and rarely seeing snow, got hit hard this time, with snow spreading out and affecting thousands of people living nearby. Over the 2 days of the 18th and 19th, snow piled up to about 6 inches deep, turning the desert into a giant ski slope, stretching for miles. Videos shared by NDTV and on social media showed cars slipping on icy roads, mountains all white, and faces full of shock and delight. There weren't any major damages reported, but traffic slowed down in spots, and officials put out warnings about slippery conditions and possible accidents. Weather experts say this is a rare event but not completely unheard of. Records from the Saudi Meteorological Authority show similar cold spells happened about 8 decades ago. They tie it to global climate change and strong shifts in the atmosphere, pointing out that science can explain most of what's going on. But the Bible offers another way to look at it. Joel 2:33-1 talks about wonders in the heavens and on the earth, and Matthew 24-29 mentions the powers of the heavens being shaken before the great day. For many believers, snow on the desert isn't just odd weather. It's a sign that things are being turned upside down, just like the old warnings said. Of course, there's a lot of debate. Some folks say linking the Bible to the weather is just emotional thinking, that it's only a rare natural cycle. But the question hangs in the air. If it's just random, why do these big upsets keep happening in a world already full of trouble? And is science enough to ease the deeper worries people feel? What about you? What do you see in that white snow out in the desert? An interesting weather event, or a wake-up call that makes us think about our faith and what we're doing? No matter which side you're on, one thing's clear. Things we thought would never change are shifting fast. For those who believe in the Lord, it's a call to turn back and stay alert. For skeptics, it's a reminder of how fragile nature really is. And the big question remains, if the Saudi desert can freeze over, what's next to get turned around? Is this just a one-time wonder, or the start of even bigger changes ahead? 3. Millions of Australians rise up in Sydney and Melbourne, taking over the streets against radical Islam and Prime Minister Albanese. The religious war. Just as you and I wake up and get ready for another ordinary day, over in Australia, the political and social atmosphere is heating up fast, as calls to take over the streets in Sydney and Melbourne spread quickly on social media. Many groups calling themselves patriots say they'll hit the streets to protest extremism and criticize Prime Minister Anthony Albanese's government, raising worries about a new wave of unrest in a country usually seen as pretty stable. This tension started from a serious violent attack in the Bondi area of Sydney that shocked and angered people across Australia. International news outlets like CNN and NPR reported the incident as influenced by extremist ideas, sparking heated debates about security, immigration, and what the government is responsible for. In that setting, Sydney and Melbourne, these two big economic hubs with lots of people, have become focal points for opposing feelings. From what's being shared online, the gatherings are planned at iconic spots like Bondi Pavilion and Federation Square. Participants are encouraged to bring signs against Prime Minister Albanese and demanding tough action on extremist groups. Authorities in New South Wales have warned about the risks of illegal assemblies and deployed a large security force to prevent violence and keep public order. From a social science viewpoint, many experts say this is a familiar chain reaction after security shocks. Collective fear, mixed with social media, can turn quickly into a mass movement. On the political side, the Albanese government insists it's handling the situation with hate laws and extra security measures, while urging people not to let emotions drive their actions. On the other hand, secular observers warn that framing the event as a religious conflict could make divisions worse. They compare this wave to big protests in Australia before, saying it's mostly a crisis of trust in politics, rather than signs of a full-blown religious war. Still, they admit that extremist trends are rising worldwide. But looking at it from another angle, the Bible is mentioned by many as a different way to interpret things. Matthew 24 talks about rumors of wars and nations rising against nations, while Revelation describes peace being taken from the earth. For some believers, those words ring out as a reminder that division and conflict are signs of a deeper time of unrest. This news shows an Australia at a sensitive crossroads, where science, politics, and faith all speak up but haven't found common ground yet. And the big question still hangs in the air. If this wave of unrest hasn't stopped in Australia, are other societies getting closer to a similar scenario? Or is this just the opening act for bigger changes ahead? 4. Ukraine attacks a tanker linked to China's flag in the Mediterranean. Drones buzzing, ship on fire, war spreading to the open sea. When news broke about the drone attack on the tanker Kendil in the Mediterranean, most folks' first reaction was shock and doubt. A strike coming from thousands of miles away, happening far from Ukrainian waters, right in the middle of international shipping lanes. That alone sends a strong message, not just military or political, but something deeper. Looking at the bigger picture, I see tensions building out on the ocean. The Ukraine-Russia war was mostly thought of as a land fight, but now it's spilling over into energy routes. Those tankers in the so-called shadow fleet have long been watched for dodging sanctions. When a ship flying a third country's flag, sailing in neutral waters, becomes a target, the old lines of safety start to fade. Short videos released by Ukraine, picked up by outlets like BBC and Politico, show drones approaching the deck, causing heavy damage, but not sinking it since the ship was empty. That detail matters. This wasn't meant to destroy completely, but to warn. It says distance no longer protects you, and the open sea isn't a safe buffer anymore. Clearly, the nature of war is changing. Cheap, long-range drones can shake up global supply chains without needing a big navy. When energy gets threatened at sea, every economy gets dragged in. It's proof that modern conflicts don't need a formal declaration to spread. They do it through technology. Some argue this is just a tactic to put economic pressure on Russia. There's truth to that, since Kyiv has long targeted energy cash flows. But the method and location point to something bigger. A precedent has been set. Once that's there, others will follow suit, and the oceans become a shared battlefield. Here, the Bible comes in as a key to understanding the deeper layers. Ezekiel 38 talks about swords turning against one's own brothers, and Revelation describes fire, smoke, and sulfur pouring out in battle. Not to force a view, but to shed light. Those ancient images match the feeling of a world where conflict spreads beyond human control. This strike in the Mediterranean isn't just another military headline. It's a sign the war has moved into new territory, where borders feel fragile. When the open sea loses its neutrality, we're getting closer to widespread unrest. And when a historic sea like the Mediterranean sees smoke rising, eyes have to look farther out. If the Mediterranean isn't calm anymore, how long will the other oceans stay peaceful? Or is this just the first door swinging open? 5. The Street Nicholas and Krampus Parade in the Austrian Alps. Demons flood the streets. A festival turns into a supernatural nightmare. The first feeling that hits you is a chill when you see pictures from the Austrian Alps. Tall figures in scary devil masks, curved horns, dark red fur, pouring down narrow streets surrounded by snow-covered mountains. The sound of bells, whips cracking, and roaring voices all mixed together, creating a scene that's both mysterious and frightening. Looking at it, who could really feel at peace inside? The Krampuslauf, the parade tied to St. Nicholas, is an old tradition in places like Salzburg and Innsbruck. Most people explain it as a folk ritual that blends ancient beliefs with Christianity, where evil is acted out so good can win in the end. Thousands of people take part, and thousands of tourists come to see it, treating it like a lively winter cultural event that's noisy but harmless. If you look closer, you see the familiar structure of the procession. Two young women in white dresses lead the way, standing for purity. Behind them comes St. Nicholas with his staff and bishop's hat. And all around are the fierce Krampus figures, yelling and threatening the crowd. People laugh, take videos, and cheer, while those devilish faces become the center of attention. From an everyday point of view, you could say it's just a costume festival, a way for everyone to let off steam together, or a winter tourist attraction. From a cultural angle, it's what's left of old pagan beliefs that got mixed into Christianity over time. These explanations make sense, and they help a lot of folks feel more at ease with all the chaos. But when you look at this through the light of the Bible, another layer of meaning quietly shows up. The second letter to Timothy warns that in the last days, people will get used to pride, boasting, and turning values upside down. Revelation describes strange creatures, part human and part animal, appearing during times of trial. This isn't to condemn one particular festival, but to remind us that the line between symbols and actually honoring something can be very thin. What really bothers us isn't the tradition itself, it's how normal the darkness has become. When images of demons turn into fun, when scary things become entertainment, faith can easily grow numb. People stop being shocked by evil and just feel curious or amused. Some say seeing demons in a parade helps remind folks that evil exists, so they stay away from it. Others think it's just harmless modern play acting. Both views are out there, and each person picks what makes sense to them. For us, the Krampus parade is a gentle but deep reminder. As the world gets louder with twisted images of darkness, our faith needs to stay more awake than ever, not to be afraid, but to clearly tell the real light from everything else. And if the streets of the Alps are used to seeing devil figures cheered on by crowds, what other masks will darkness wear in other places before people realize they've gone too far? 6. Odessa battles Russian geranium drones, missiles lighting up the sky like fireworks. Ukraine loses patience and hits back. In the middle of the night, the sky over Odessa suddenly lit up like it was being torn apart. Waves of Russia's German 2 drones came screaming in, buzzing like a swarm of metal insects carrying fire and explosives, turning this Black Sea port city into a blazing war zone. Flashes kept going off. Explosions shook the ground, and the whole world had to take notice. Can you feel how the pace of this war is picking up hour by hour? Odessa isn't just any city. It's a key gateway, the lifeline for shipping goods, food, and energy out of Ukraine to the rest of the world. When Russia pours its firepower here, the message is clear. The fighting has shifted to the sea, and things are ramping up to a new level. From the 12th to the 14th, according to international reports, more than 300 drones and missiles rained down on the area, leaving millions in the dark without power. Pictures from the scene paint a breathless picture. Ukraine's air defenses worked overtime, streaking trails of fire across the night sky like desperate slashes in the darkness. 133 drones were shot down, but not everything was stopped. Some strikes got through, damaging homes, ports, even hitting foreign merchant ships. People in Odessa crowded into shelters, listening to the blasts like a countdown. The scary part isn't just the numbers, it's the rhythm. Drones flying in packs, missiles following one after another, attacks coming from sea and sky at the same time. This isn't scattered hits anymore, it's an organized storm of fire. When Ukraine has to strike back harder, the cycle of escalation starts feeding itself. The war isn't just on maps now, it's burning through every hour, every minute. In the middle of all this, the Bible rings out like a chilling warning bell. Ezekiel 39:6 talks about fire falling on Magog and those living by the coast, almost like it's describing exactly what's happening as attacks pour in from the sea. Joel 2 paints a picture of fire devouring in front and behind, leaving everything barren, a scene that's all too familiar in cities covered in smoke and rubble today. These words aren't meant to scare people, but to wake them up. When fire comes all at once from land to sea, when modern weapons make distance meaningless, it's a sign the world is entering a more dangerous phase. War isn't far away anymore. It spreads fast like a virus. And all it takes is one big spark. Odessa isn't just fighting for itself. What's burning in the skies over this city is a warning that the fuse for a bigger conflict is being lit day by day. Time isn't on humanity's side, and staying alert is something we can't put off. And as Odessa burns red in the night, that haunting question still hangs in the air. If this ring of fire keeps spreading, is there any city that can stay out of it? Or will the world's skies all light up at once like a sign that can't be undone? 7. Gang shoots down 2 brothers at Aleppo. Gold shop. Robbery. Jews threatened. Middle East violence erupts. A nightmare right in the heart of the old city. An armed robbery at a gold shop in Aleppo quickly turned into a tragedy when gunfire rang out in the busy shopping street. In just a moment, a familiar place where people made their living became a scene of heartbreak, leaving the whole community in shock. Aleppo, once the bustling trade center of the Middle East, is still struggling to recover after years of war. The Al-Halak area, full of gold shops, is an important trading spot, but faces shaky security. The mix of poverty, unemployment, and loose control has given violent crime a chance to rise, especially at night. According to local reports, on the evening of the 19th, an armed group stormed the Nasso shop. In the chaos, the 2 brothers who owned the store, Nasso and Yaman, were killed, along with a young person who was there. The attackers quickly grabbed a large amount of gold and got away. Videos spreading on social media showed panicked crowds, cries of sorrow, and people feeling helpless against the sudden violence. No need to dramatize it. The tragedy of those 2 brothers is heartbreaking enough on its own. They were just small business owners, holding on in a city scarred by war to support their families. The fact that they were Jewish has made the community even more worried, because in the tense Middle East, any act of violence can easily be seen through the lens of ethnicity or religion. But in this story, what matters most first is the loss of real people, not the labels they carried. After the incident, different opinions popped up quickly. Some say it was just a robbery in a time of weak security, with no religious motive. Others fear that Jews are becoming easy targets, and violence like this could heighten fears in minority communities. Both views reflect the same reality. Ongoing instability makes it harder to tell the difference between ordinary crime and hate-driven attacks. Looking at the event through a biblical lens, a clear warning comes to mind. Matthew 24:12 says that as lawlessness increases, people's love will grow cold. Jeremiah warns about a false peace, where folks try to reassure each other that things are fine, while violence quietly spreads. These words aren't pointing fingers at any one group, but reminding us that moral decline often starts when people get used to violence. In the end, the shooting in Aleppo is sad news, not just because of what happened to those 2 brothers and their family, but because it shows how fragile life is in a world still full of brokenness. When violence feels like it could happen anytime, that's when we all need to pause, wake up, and ask ourselves, what is really guiding our hearts? And that's it. We've just gone through all 7 big world events from these past days, showing how unsettled humanity is right now, and how our future feels threatened too. Which one made you stop and think the most? Feel free to share in the comments below. 7 events, 7 hotspots, 7 pieces that seem unrelated, but when you put them together, they form a big picture that's almost suffocating. From strange natural disasters, social chaos, fraud, violence, to bloodshed in ancient streets, everything isn't happening one after another in order. but all at once, piling up like drum beats pounding on the chest of our time. These aren't just isolated news stories anymore. They're a wave. 7 events, 7 hotspots, 7 pieces that seem unrelated, but when you put them together, they form a big picture that's almost suffocating. From strange natural disasters, social chaos, fraud, violence, to bloodshed in ancient streets, everything isn't happening one after another in order, but all at once, piling up like drum beats pounding on the chest of our time. These aren't just isolated news stories anymore. They're a wave. Looking at the whole thing, what's really scary isn't just how serious each event is, but how fast they're coming. The time between these big happenings is getting shorter. We barely have time to get over the fear from one before humanity gets dragged right into the next. Do you feel it too? That sense the world isn't giving us any time to catch our breath? This picture shows a world that's losing its order from the roots up. Nature isn't running smoothly anymore. Society isn't agreeing on things. People don't trust each other, and violence shows up like an old habit. No need to exaggerate. Just put the pieces together, and you see a clear trend. All the foundations that used to hold the world steady are shaking at the same time. When you put this picture next to the Bible, the similarities give you chills. Matthew 24:6-8 warns plainly, "You will hear of wars and rumors of wars. Nation will rise against nation. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places. All these are the beginning of birth pains." Doesn't what we're seeing look a lot like a beginning? It's not just wars or disasters. The Bible also talks about cracks in people's hearts. 2 Timothy 3:1-2 says, "In the last days there will be difficult times, for people will be lovers of themselves, lovers of money, boastful, proud." When cheating becomes normal, when self-interest clouds conscience, isn't this the moral breakdown the Bible describes? What's worth noting is that the Bible doesn't describe the end times just with disasters, but with hearts growing cold. Matthew 24:12 goes on, "Because of the increase of wickedness, the love of most will grow cold. The violence in Aleppo, chaos on the streets, or indifference to others' pain, all of it reflects a quiet but fast-spreading coldness." How used to bad news have we gotten? A massacre, a disaster, a big scandal. Do they still shock us like they used to? Or do we just scroll past and go on with our day? That getting used to it is the most dangerous sign of all. The Bible also warns about false peace. Jeremiah 6:14 says, "They say, 'Peace, peace,' when there is no peace." The world today still talks about recovery, stability, growth, but underneath are cracks getting wider. Are we being reassured or just lulled to sleep? When you put these 7 events together, you see a familiar rhythm from the book of Revelation. Revelation 6 describes seals being opened, each one bringing war, famine, death, and widespread fear. I looked, and there before me was a pale horse. Its rider was named Death. That image isn't just a symbol, it's a process. What's worth thinking about is that these signs aren't focused in one country or region. They're scattered everywhere, but happening all at once. That togetherness creates a sense of urgency, like some invisible clock of history is speeding up. Time doesn't seem to flow evenly anymore. It's being stretched tight. Do you ever feel like the future is getting harder to see clearly each day? Long-term plans feel fragile. Faith in lasting stability fades a little more. It's not just personal, it's the mood of a whole generation living in the overlap between old and new, between order and chaos. The Bible doesn't give exact dates or times, but it always stresses one thing: staying awake. Matthew 24:42 reminds, "Therefore keep watch, because you do not know on what day your Lord will come." Staying awake here isn't blind fear, it's recognizing the time we're living in. These 7 events aren't meant to make us panic, but to force us to look at the full picture. A world shaking both physically and spiritually. Humanity moving faster than it can control. And in that picture, time isn't something we have plenty of anymore. Revelation 10:6 has a short but haunting line. There will be no more delay. Whatever way you read it, the message is clear. There are times in history when waiting around isn't an option anymore. The question is, what will we do when we realize that? As we wrap up this summary, the picture isn't just darkness, it's an urgent wake-up call. The signs are here, the pace has picked up, and the chaos isn't far off anymore. Humanity, in every real sense, may not have much time left to keep looking the other way. The issue isn't whether something will happen, but how awake we'll be while it's happening. And maybe that's exactly what the Bible wants to stir in each of us. Before the picture turns to the next page, as we wrap up everything we've just seen, one thing stands out clear as day. The world today is unfolding just like the Bible warned about thousands of years ago. Chaos isn't the exception anymore. It's become the normal way of things. Wars, violence, wickedness, natural disasters, and people growing cold-hearted are all showing up at the same time, like the final markers on the path humanity is walking down. This isn't meant to scare anyone, and it's not just pointless gloom. It's a straightforward comparison between what's happening right in front of us and what the Bible described long ago. As these signs match up more and more, coming faster and stronger, the question isn't, is this really it anymore? It's, how are we going to respond? The Bible keeps saying that time isn't endless. We don't always get one more chance to put things off. This growing chaos is an urgent reminder that we're standing very close to the line. We're making a choice, can't wait any longer. Running out of time doesn't mean running out of hope. It means there's no room left for indifference. The path it points to isn't about running away or panicking. It's about turning back to God with a humble heart, real repentance, and true faith. Prayer isn't for escaping reality. It's for standing firm in it. Repentance isn't just out of fear. It's recognizing we need healing from the inside. In a world full of noise, take a quiet moment to pause. Ask yourself what you're really putting your trust in, and whether it's strong enough to carry you through the days ahead. Faith doesn't wipe away troubles, but it keeps you from falling under them. And right now, that faith needs to be placed in the right spot. If you feel something stirring in your heart, don't keep it to yourself. Leave a short prayer below, or share your honest thoughts about the 7 events we just covered. Your words might lift up someone else who's confused, scared, or searching for answers just like you. If this has helped wake you up and see the bigger picture of our times more clearly, please like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss the next warnings. Every share isn't just support. It could be the bridge that gets this message to more people who need to hear it. Finally, thank you from the bottom of my heart for sticking with me to the end. In a chaotic, hurried world, taking time to stop and think is a precious choice. May God guide you, protect you, and give you peace, even as everything around us keeps shaking. You know, the ocean is stirring. Under the thick black waters of the deep sea and big rivers, things that were once sleeping are starting to thrash, rise up, and quietly watch. The Amazon is churning, cold lakes are shaking. Dark swamps suddenly show unusual movements. Can you feel it? The underwater world seems like it won't stay silent anymore. From Brazil to Georgia, 7 strange phenomena are showing up one by one, trailing along, challenging human reason. Nameless creatures, half familiar and half strange, emerging right when humanity is most lost. But these things the Bible warned about long ago. Beasts will rise from the sea, and now, with the signs no longer hidden, a haunting question echoes. Could those creatures be messengers from the abyss, calling for the doom that's coming? So don't miss this, because the info below will make you ponder, get chills, and wonder if humanity's time is running short or not. Now let's dive in with me to check out each phenomenon, starting with 1. A massive herd of snakes moving under the Amazon River. Deep in the Amazon basin, the biggest river system on Earth, something is happening that leaves even seasoned researchers speechless. Under the murky water, where light barely reaches, a wave of life is on the move. It's not fish or swirling currents, but hundreds of huge bodies twisting together, slithering along, pressed close like one single creature coming awake. The Amazon stretches more than 4,000 miles through the thick jungles of Brazil, where people are just passing visitors. Here, life and death go hand in hand quietly. But this time, what's rising up isn't the usual cycle of nature. A military drone scanning a remote stretch of river caught footage that sends chills down your spine. Below the surface, hundreds of anacondas, up to 30 feet long, are tangled together, moving as one in a smooth, eerie rhythm. They're not hunting, not separating, not in chaos. The whole massive group curves and rises and dips, like it's following some unseen command. Many think this could be a breeding area, but no records show a gathering this large or this perfectly in sync. The images quickly reminded some believers of ancient prophecies. In Isaiah 27:1, the Bible talks about Leviathan, the fleeing serpent, the twisting serpent that God will punish in the last days. Revelation 12:9 calls it the ancient dragon, the one who deceives the whole world. And in Job 41, Leviathan is described as a creature no human can tame, pull up, or control. Is what we're seeing coiling under the Amazon just a coincidence? Of course, scientists were quick to weigh in. They say it's likely migration due to climate change or a rare natural behavior. But the thing is, the video shows near perfect coordination, the kind wild animals almost never achieve. Those plain explanations don't quite touch what really unsettles people, the feeling that something is waking up. When you put this alongside the bigger picture in the Bible, many believe it's more than just biology. It's a sign of ancient forces stirring, of chaos allowed to show itself before the final stage. The Amazon, the river of life, has now become a place where darkness thrashes in silence. And if that herd of snakes isn't just gathering and then fading away, if they keep searching, spreading, swallowing everything in their path, the scariest question still hangs there. Could those movements deep in the Amazon be the first whisper of Leviathan rising from the depths? 2. A human-like creature with a fishtail in the Moroke River. The video showed up out of nowhere, but in just a few hours, it shook up the whole internet. An amateur diver was filming underwater in the calm current when he suddenly caught sight of something that didn't look like any ordinary creature. It didn't dart away in panic or try to hide. Instead, it swam around slowly, almost like it knew it was being watched. The Moroke River is a remote spot in Asia, a freshwater river as deep as 100 feet, and hardly anyone ever goes there. That isolation has kept it pretty much off the scientific map. Down in the dark water, light gets swallowed up fast, creating a quiet but heavy pressure where every movement feels strange. And that's exactly where this creature appeared. Not just a quick glimpse, but long enough to give viewers chills. The footage shows the upper body looking human, with clear shoulders, head, and arms, while the lower part is a long fishtail covered in scales, moving smoothly. The hands have webs between the fingers, waving gracefully in the water. What really got to a lot of people is how it swam right alongside dolphins, like old friends. No chasing them off, no avoiding them. Just think about it. If this was only an illusion, why did everything look so smooth and real? Right away, heated arguments broke out. Science says it might be an underwater hallucination or a dolphin distorted by the camera angle. But the video is clear. The movements seem deliberate, and especially the body structure doesn't match any known species. The safe explanations don't seem strong enough to ease the growing unease. When you look at this through the lens of the Bible, many folks start connecting it to Genesis 6-4, which talks about the Nephilim, hybrid beings that showed up when the natural order got broken. In Daniel 7:3 and Revelation 13:1, different beasts rise from the sea, bringing power and deception. In the Bible, seas and rivers are never just water. They're places of chaos where things beyond human control are born. If these hybrid creatures existed in the past, the scary question is, did they really vanish? Or are they just hiding, waiting for the right moment to show themselves again? The video from the Muroke River has a lot of people believing the line between myth and reality is getting thinner every day. This isn't just a shocking image, it's a sign of something deeper going wrong. And if that creature isn't alone, if there are more like it down there, quietly watching, quietly getting closer, the whole picture becomes more terrifying than ever. Will they stay hidden in the dark? Or will they slowly lure people down into the depths, swallowing souls in silence? And that final question still hangs there, like a warning. Who will be the next victim? 3. Ghostly faces rising from the river. They're not full creatures, not clear bodies, just faces. That's what makes this whole thing so creepy, more than anything else. A security camera set up by the riverbank, meant only to track water levels and movement at night, ended up catching something nobody wants to see. On the slightly shaky screen, the water suddenly bulges, and then these blurry faces slowly rise out of the darkness. That river doesn't have a name or any real landmarks. It's just described as about 50 feet deep, with muddy water all year round. It's the kind of river where light never reaches the bottom, where mud and trash build up into their own little world. In the daytime, it looks harmless enough, but after dark, the surface turns into a twisted mirror, showing things that don't belong up here. In the video, the faces don't come all the way up like a person swimming. They just hover, half submerged, with frozen expressions like masks and empty eyes staring straight at the camera. There's no sound, no big splashes, just this feeling that something down there is watching you. Then, one by one, the faces slowly sink back down and vanish, like they were never there. A lot of people who watch the video keep rewinding it, not to spot details, but because of this uneasy feeling they can't quite name. Put yourself in that spot for a second. If you knew something under that familiar water was looking back at you, would you still stand there? Or would you turn away fast and pretend you didn't see a thing? The skeptics jumped right in, of course. They said it was just a camera glitch, light reflections, or some kind of distortion. But when you look frame by frame, the movements are clearly their own. These faces aren't drifting with the current or changing randomly. They show up on purpose, like they're choosing the moment to appear. Science can explain light tricks, but it can't explain those expressions. When people started comparing it to the Bible, things got chilling. Revelation 16:13 talks about unclean spirits coming out of the mouth of the dragon and the beast. Revelation 9:3 describes beings given power, rising from smoke and the abyss. And in Psalm 69:1-2, water isn't just a natural thing anymore, it's a picture of the deep swallowing the soul, dragging a person down into despair. Put those verses next to the video, and a scary idea starts to take shape. Maybe these aren't flesh and blood creatures at all, but unclean spirits, things trapped at the bottom of the deep, now allowed to surface in these troubled times. They don't attack right away, don't make noise, they just watch, like they're waiting for something bigger. If those faces aren't a one-time thing, if they quietly rise and sink back every night, then the final question hits harder than ever. When darkness falls and the water goes calm again, are they still down there looking up at you, waiting for just the right moment to call out and pull you into that everlasting darkness with no way back? 4. Reptile attack in Canada. It all happened so fast that anyone watching couldn't even figure out what just went down. The video starts out like any other swimming clip. Calm water on the surface, steady breathing, just the soft sound of water splashing. But a few seconds later, that quiet gets ripped apart. From down below, a dark shape shoots straight up and fills the whole screen. A scream gets cut off short. The video ends suddenly, leaving this cold, empty feeling with no explanation. That lake is in Canada, about 60 feet deep, known for water so cold it numbs you even in summer. It's not some remote wilderness spot. It's a place lots of folks go to swim and relax, thinking it's perfectly safe. But under that clear water, the chill isn't just from the temperature. It's from whatever's hiding down there, waiting for the right moment to strike. The last frame anybody caught shows part of a body that looks distinctly reptilian. Jerky movements, rough edges, nothing like a fish or any creature people know from around there. This thing didn't swim around or stalk for long. It attacked head-on, like it had already picked its target. The scariest part isn't really the shape. It's the clear intent you see in that split second. As soon as the video spread, the usual explanations popped up. Some said it was just a stray alligator. Others figured the swimmer panicked and imagined it. But people who know biology quickly pointed out what doesn't add up. Canada isn't natural habitat for alligators, and the movement in the video doesn't match any known reptile. The skeptical take sound reasonable, but they dodge the big question. Why was the attack so sudden and dead on? Job 41 once asked straight out about Leviathan, a creature humans can't control or tame. Psalm 74-14 talks about God crushing the heads of Leviathan, showing its real power and threat. And in Isaiah 27-1, Leviathan is called the fleeing serpent, the twisting serpent, punished on the day of judgment. Those descriptions aren't random, and they sure aren't just for entertainment. If Leviathan isn't only a symbol, but stands for ancient forces under the water, then that moment in the Canadian lake means something a whole lot scarier. It's not just a one-off incident. It's a warning sign. A warning that things once locked away are getting bolder, less hidden, ready to show their power in our world. What really unsettles people most isn't what's in the video. It's the silence afterward. No word from the swimmer. No ending to the story. Just the calm lake surface again, like nothing ever happened. But if that creature is still prowling the cold depths, the question isn't hypothetical anymore. When darkness falls and the water closes over you, would you dare swim alone, knowing something down there is waiting to shatter the peace? 5. Human-like creature emerges at Lake Titisee, Germany. That morning at Lake Titisee started with complete silence. The water was flat as glass, a thin mist crawling low over the surface, swallowing sounds and distances. Two brothers were fishing when they noticed something strange. The water wasn't rippling, but something was rising. No noise, no bubbles, just a shape breaking through from the depths to the surface. The creature rose straight up, chest and above, as if gravity didn't apply to it. Its skin was pale, bluish-white, reflecting the dim, early light, in a way that felt ice-cold and suffocating. Its eyes were completely black, no pupils, no familiar spark of life, just empty voids staring back at the men. What really terrified the brothers wasn't just the appearance. The moment the creature showed up, their electronic devices started acting up. The camera shook hard, the signal got noisy, batteries drained for no reason. The video lasted exactly 6 minutes and 66 seconds, a number that anyone familiar with the Bible can't ignore. Then everything suddenly cut out, like an invisible hand had crushed the technology. Lake Titisee sits in Germany's Black Forest, covering about half a square mile and reaching down 130 feet. It's tied to old legends, whispered stories about water spirits that never left. When the creature appeared, the lake stayed perfectly still, not a single ripple, as if the water itself was holding its breath in fear of what had come up from the bottom. Skeptics were quick to explain it away. Thick fog, optical illusion, tired eyes. But they couldn't account for why all the electronics failed at once, or why the creature's expression looked so lifeless, nothing like any staged hoax. Science might explain the image, but it stays quiet about the chill down your spine that the video leaves behind. When you compare it to the Bible, the pieces start fitting together in a frightening way. Genesis 6-4 talks about the Nephilim, beings that were part human, part something else, living in the chaotic time before the Great Flood. Revelation 9-7 describes creatures with faces like men, but a completely different nature. And Daniel 7:3 says it plain. Great beasts will rise from the sea, signaling the changing of ages. What was this thing? Could it be an evil spirit rising from the deep, stepping into our world when the boundary is thinnest? It didn't attack, didn't speak, just appeared, watched, then vanished, like a reminder that a time of chaos is drawing near. The scariest part is that the creature didn't truly disappear. It just quietly sank back down to the dark bottom where no light reaches. If those black eyes are still open down there in the darkness, is it waiting for another lost soul to come close to the water's edge? When night falls and Lake Titusee goes perfectly quiet again, would you dare stand there a long time, knowing something might be watching you from below, with a stare that swallows the last bit of light? 6. Humanoid creature with net-cutting fins off the Spanish coast. The night sea off Spain doesn't roar, it whispers. The dark water lies heavy and quiet, broken only by the steady hum of the boat's engine and the scrape of the nets against the wooden hull. These seasoned fishermen had no idea that in the next moment, something was about to shatter every familiar rule of the ocean. When the heavy net was hauled up from nearly 200 feet down, the boat suddenly lurched hard. It wasn't fish. It wasn't a reef. A strong, deliberate pull yanked the net back toward the deep. The cables stretched tight, almost ready to snap, and then a shape rose out of the water, gripping the net with webbed hands. The creature looked humanoid, but long, sharp fins ran down its body, quivering with every move. Its wet, dark skin caught the boat's lights, not like fish scales, not like human skin either. It pulled hard, twisting the net as if testing what men could handle, then ripped everything apart with one fierce jerk before vanishing into the darkness below. That moment lasted only a few seconds, but it froze everyone on board. Up on deck, nobody could speak. The net lay torn to shreds, like it had met a living machine. The fishermen swore they saw the creature's eyes, calm and clear, not panicked, not angry, like it knew exactly what it was doing. When the story got out, the skeptics brushed it off fast. A big shark, they said. Old net, they figured. But no shark has webbed hands that grab and pull and tear, and no equipment failure fights back with that kind of rhythm. Once again, the voices of men who've spent their lives on the water were ignored. Revelation 13:1 talks about a beast rising from the sea, carrying power and terror beyond human understanding. Daniel 7:3 says, "These beasts are different, nothing we can fit into the usual patterns." And Job 41:31 describes the Leviathan churning the deep like boiling water, as if the ocean is no longer a safe place. Put this event against those old words, and the picture gets frighteningly clear. This wasn't just some strange animal. It was a sign of the beast coming up from the sea. Just like the ancient warning said, it wasn't caught, wasn't fully recorded, just passed through human lives like a short but heavy message. And what keeps the fear alive isn't the attack, it's the way it left. The creature wasn't beaten or chased off. It slipped back down on its own, free, carrying power no one has measured, roaming the vast ocean floor. If even a thick net couldn't hold it, what happens when people become the next target? As something dark rises from the deep, will your net, or your faith, be strong enough to stand against whatever's waiting down there? 7. Swamp critters in Okefenokee, Georgia. The Okefenokee swamp isn't loud or wild. It just covers everything with a thick, sticky quiet that makes it hard to breathe easy. Fog drifts slowly over the murky water, and the trees twist like old, gnarled arms waiting for something. In that scene, a man in a boat lifts his camera, not knowing he's about to catch something that would shake up a whole community. Out of the calm water, a dark black head rises up. No ripples, no sound, no splash. Just a shadowy shape appearing right as the camera swings toward it, like it knew it was being watched. When the boat turns, the head quietly moves with it, staying just far enough away to keep its shape hidden. The Okefenokee covers about 438,000 acres, and the water's only 10 to 20 feet deep, shallow enough to see vague shadows below, murky enough to hide what's really there. The creature doesn't come fully up, or sink completely down. It drifts alongside, matching the boat's speed perfectly, giving that long, breathless feeling of being followed. People quickly think alligator, but the movement doesn't match. Alligators glide, lunge, pull back. This was different. It stops when the boat stops, backs up when the boat backs up, keeps its gaze steady even when the camera shakes. No normal instinct, no usual hunting behavior, just cold, careful calculation. The Bible warned about things like this. Revelation 11:7 talks about the beast that comes up from the abyss, not randomly, only when the time is right. Luke 21:25 describes people in confusion before the sea roars and the waves crash, fear spreading faster than any disaster. Revelation 9:11 names the ruler of the abyss, Abaddon, the destroyer, who doesn't need noise to spread terror. Scientists rush to call it a local animal. Theories come up, debates start, then quickly end. What gets ignored is the part that really chills people. The feeling of being watched, on purpose. Not a chance meeting, not a random run-in, more like a quiet, deliberate check. When you put this together with things that happened before, creatures from the ocean, things from rivers, mixed shapes, now this swamp beast rising from still, dark water, a symbol of the lightless deep. These aren't separate stories anymore. They feel like a warning coming together. The boat left the swamp, the video ended, and the creature vanished. But Okefenokee is still there, darker when night falls. Whatever's hiding under that cloudy water hasn't gone anywhere. It waits, patient, for the moment someone lets their guard down. When you step too close to the edge, what might rise up behind you and pull you into the darkness forever? We just went through 7 strange creatures caught on camera under the water. Which one scared you the most? We just looked at 7 mysterious creatures filmed on camera. Do you think those were messages that God deliberately placed to warn humanity? 7 phenomena, 7 places, 7 moments that seem unrelated, but when you put them side by side, they form a chilling pattern spreading across the world. From the Amazon River churning with giant anacondas to the Okefenokee swamp, where a dark head quietly rises to watch people, they all start from the same place: deep water. Not the desert, not high mountains, not the sky. These creatures are rising from rivers, lakes, oceans, and swamps, like some ancient door is opening beneath the surface. The Amazon in Brazil, Muroke in Asia, a cold lake in Canada, Titusee in Germany's Black Forest, the coast of Spain, Okefenokee in Georgia. The distance between them doesn't stop this rhythm of rising at the same time. Look at each one alone, and it's easy to call it random. Look at the big picture, and the timing becomes scary. The movements seem deliberate. The eyes know how to watch. The shapes don't fit normal biology. They appear and vanish right on cue. A wave of strange creatures is surfacing from the water together, as if some unseen command is being turned on. The Bible has warned about this for a long time. In Revelation, the sea isn't a peaceful symbol anymore. It's where destructive power comes from. Revelation 13:1 says, "And I saw a beast coming up out of the sea, having 10 horns and 7 heads, with 10 crowns on its horns. And on its heads were blasphemous names." That beast isn't just one thing. It's a system, a power rising from chaos. Along with the beast is Leviathan, a symbol of ancient power locked away in the deep. Isaiah 27:1 says, "In that day, the Lord with his hard and great and strong sword will punish Leviathan the fleeing serpent, Leviathan the twisting serpent, and he will slay the dragon that is in the sea." Leviathan isn't some harmless myth. It's a picture of chaos held back until the end times. What's happening in the world today matches that picture exactly. It's not just strange creatures. It's restless seas, extreme weather, trouble spreading everywhere. Luke 21:25 warns plainly, "There will be signs in the sun and moon and stars, and on the earth distress among nations, confused by the roaring of the sea and the waves." When the waters aren't calm, people lose their footing too. These 7 phenomena aren't just frightening, they're wake-up calls. They make us look down at what's been forgotten, the deep. Down there, things that were once locked away are stirring, creatures that aren't fully animal and aren't fully human, reminding us of the days of the Nephilim, when the boundaries of creation were crossed. Jesus warned that the end times wouldn't just come with wars or famine, but with clever deception. Matthew 24:24 says, "For false Christs and false prophets will arise and perform great signs and wonders, so as to deceive, if possible, even the elect. Not every sign comes from God." Revelation goes on to describe that false power. Revelation 13:13 says, "It performs great signs, even making fire come down from heaven to earth in front of people." When people get caught up in the strange and miraculous, it's easy to mix up real power with fake displays. Creatures rising from the water aren't just terrifying, they're preparing minds to accept the wrong thing. Put these 7 phenomena together, and you see a clear progression. From group movements, to hybrid shapes, to watching, attacking, then lurking. Each step goes deeper into darkness. It's no longer random appearances, it's a building chain, just like the Bible describes before the Antichrist appears. What's important is that the Bible didn't write these things to cause panic. They were written as a final reminder. The signs aren't meant to scare us, they're meant to wake us up. When Leviathan stirs the deep sea, when the beast rises from the abyss, that's the time to look at ourselves. That warning comes with a clear call. Repent, stay alert, discern. Don't chase after the strange. Don't worship false power. Don't fall asleep in what's familiar. The end times, according to the Bible, don't come with one big bang. They come with a rush of signs, each one peeling back another layer. The 7 pictures are done, but the story isn't over. The water is still deep. The sea is still restless. The swamp still waits in silence. As the signs get clearer, the question isn't, "Is this real?" anymore. It's, "How will we respond?" Because like the Bible warned, the end times don't come as a surprise. They come to test our hearts. 7 phenomena have passed before our eyes, like 7 cold waves rising up from the deep, quiet but strong enough to shake what we think we know. From rivers, lakes, oceans to swamps, they all come together as a serious reminder. These aren't just stories for fun, they're warnings from God, calling people to wake up their faith and get ready for Judgment Day. When we look at the whole picture, what stays with us isn't just fear, but responsibility. These signs weren't given to make us panic, but to help us see clearly, stay awake, and change our ways. The Bible keeps repeating that message. Let those who have ears hear, and those who have eyes see. Because the end times won't come in total darkness. They'll come with clear warnings. So the most important thing isn't hunting for strange creatures. It's turning back to God's Word. Open the Bible. Compare what's happening now with what was foretold so we don't get carried away by fear or false miracles. This is the time to pray more, repent more honestly, and put our full trust in the Lord, the only one who has power over every deep. If those images just now made you uneasy, remember, their purpose isn't to kill hope. On the contrary, they're an invitation to get back on the right path before all the doors close. Time isn't endless anymore, and the choices we make today shape what comes tomorrow. Getting ready doesn't start with big actions. It starts with a heart that's willing to listen. We hope this video series helps you see the world in a deeper, more serious way and closer to the Bible. If you feel these insights are worthwhile, please hit like, share so others don't miss this important wake-up call, and subscribe to the channel to keep journeying with us in the next videos, where the signs will be even more shocking and clearer. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. We hope each of us leaves this video with a question still echoing in our hearts and a serious decision about our faith. Those creatures under the water aren't just myths, they're whispers from the abyss, calling for the end of this world.
Iraq are facing water shortages as the region's longest river, the Euphrates, dries up.
one thing I keep seeing is this.
Экскаватором такую, ну я скажу, эмоции просто.
The Euphrates is drying up, not slowly, but like it's being drained by some unseen hand. In 2025, the river the Bible once called great is hitting rock bottom, uncovering layers of earth that haven't seen daylight in thousands of years. As the water pulls back, folks aren't just seeing rocks and mud. There's this eerie feeling that something is waking up. Do you think this is just ordinary climate change? The book of Revelation warned about it. 4 fallen angels bound under the Euphrates, tied up until the exact time that's set. Now, with water levels at record lows, that scary question comes up. What's still holding them back? And what happens if those chains start to loosen? Don't skip any details here, because right below, we're going to dive deep into the riverbed and figure it out, why those 4 fallen angels are locked down there, and who could have bound them for thousands of years, and how. Now, get yourself ready and steady, because the first stop on this journey is 1. Who are the 4 fallen angels bound there? You know, under the dark mud of the Euphrates River, the Bible says it's not just rocks and water sitting quietly down there. There are beings that have been chained up for thousands of years, not because they're weak, but because they're too dangerous to be loose. When Revelation talks about the 4 angels held captive, it's not some gentle metaphor. It's a chilling warning about ones who once stood very close to God's throne and then fell. So what makes an angel end up chained under the earth? Revelation 9:14-15 records that scary command when the voice from the golden altar says, "Release the 4 angels who are bound at the great Euphrates River." And the next verse makes it clear why they've been kept until now. Those 4 angels had been prepared for the hour, the day, the month, and the year to kill 1/3 of mankind. These aren't guardian angels. They're ones held back for a brutal time that's already set. Their timing isn't random. It's counting down. To understand who they are, we have to go back to the roots of the fall. Revelation 12-4 describes Satan dragging 1/3 of the stars from heaven and throwing them to the earth. A classic Bible picture of the rebellion in heaven. These angels once had position and glory, but they chose to betray God's order. They didn't just vanish or get destroyed right away. They were imprisoned, like especially dangerous criminals waiting for a public trial before all humanity. Jude 1-6 puts it plainly about their nature. The angels who did not keep their proper position but left their own dwelling. He has kept them in eternal chains in deep darkness for the judgment of the great day. Words like chains, deep darkness, waiting for judgment aren't for righteous angels. They're for ones who crossed a forbidden line and got involved with the human world in a way that couldn't be undone. Many scholars connect this group to the Watchers in the book of Enoch, fallen angels who sinned by mixing with humans before the Great Flood. Even though Enoch isn't in the main Bible canon, that idea echoes strongly in Genesis 6-2, which says, "The sons of God saw that the daughters of humans were beautiful, and they took wives for themselves from those they chose." When the heavenly crossed that boundary, the result wasn't just personal sin. It messed up the whole created order, forcing God to step in with imprisonment and judgment. Ephesians 6:12 brings this truth closer to us than ever. Our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the cosmic powers of this present darkness. Those bound under the Euphrates aren't old legends. They're part of the dark system still working behind human history. Have you ever felt like this world is being pulled by unseen forces? The Bible says that feeling isn't wrong. What makes it even more unsettling is that they're not locked up forever. Revelation makes it clear there'll come a moment when they're released, not because God loses control, but because the plan of judgment moves to a new phase. When the 6th trumpet sounds, These long-bound ones will become tools for one of the worst disasters ever. 200 million troops, fire, smoke, sulfur, and death, spreading like an unstoppable shadow. Some folks say that's just symbolic. But 2 Peter 2-4 pushes back hard. God did not spare the angels who sinned, but threw them down into hell and committed them to chains of deepest darkness to be kept until judgment. Symbols don't need chains. Metaphors don't need to be locked up. Only truly dangerous beings get chained until the right time. And then we come to today. In 2025, the Euphrates has dropped to its lowest level in nearly a century. The river bottom is showing. Ancient ruins are coming up, and unease is spreading across the Middle East. Do you think that's just coincidence? Or a reminder that what's been hidden is starting to show? When the Bible says to stay alert, maybe that's not gentle advice. Matthew 18:10 says, "The holy angels are always free to stand before the Father in heaven." In contrast, the ones under the Euphrates are bound. That difference is enough to tell us who they are. Not protectors, not messengers of peace, but fallen angels kept for the darkest hour in human history. And this message doesn't come to scare us into panic, but to wake us up. Because if the enemy is real, then getting spiritually ready isn't optional anymore. Mark 13:33 warns, "Be on guard, keep awake, and pray, for you don't know when that time will come." The question isn't whether those 4 angels are real anymore, but if their day comes, are you ready? So here's another question that comes up. 2. What's holding them back? The scary question isn't who is being held anymore, but what has the power to keep them bound for thousands of years? It's not iron chains made by people, not huge rocks or the depths of the earth. What's holding them is an invisible force, quiet but heavy and suffocating, the judging will of God Almighty. A command that doesn't need guards, can't be fought against, forcing the darkness to wait for the exact time already set. The Bible doesn't describe those chains as ordinary physical things, but it talks about them so seriously that we can't brush it off. 2 Peter 2-4 says clearly, "For if God did not spare angels when they sinned, but cast them into hell and committed them to chains of gloomy darkness to be kept until the judgment." Chains of darkness aren't just poetic words. They're about being completely stripped of freedom, put under the total control of the Creator. Do you see it? The darkness here isn't just a place. It's being cut off from the light and heavenly power. In Jewish Christian tradition, chains are always linked to judgment, not immediate punishment. Those who are chained aren't destroyed right away. They're held back, waiting for the right moment. Jude 1-6 confirms that. "And the angels who did not stay within their own position of authority, but left their proper dwelling, he has kept in eternal chains under gloomy darkness until the judgment of the great day." Here, eternal doesn't mean endless time. It means this holding is unbreakable until the Lord Himself gives a different order. This shows a truth worth thinking about. Darkness isn't free at all, no matter how chaotic and fierce it seems. Every fallen power is limited, controlled, bound by a strength far greater than them. Why hasn't the world completely fallen apart yet, even as sin and violence keep growing? The Bible answers, because those chains are still holding. Revelation 9:14 reveals the most chilling detail about this holding. When the command rings out, "Release the 4 angels who are bound at the great river Euphrates." Just one short line, but it shows there's an unseen force keeping them back, and that force only lets go when a word comes from heaven. Not war, not people, not natural disasters, but an order from God's throne. Revelation 20:1-2 helps us understand the nature of these chains better. "Then I saw an angel coming down from heaven, holding in his hand the key to the bottomless pit and a great chain. And he seized the dragon, that ancient serpent, who is the devil and Satan, and bound him." If Satan, the leader of the rebellion, can be bound with a spiritual chain, then it's no surprise that 4 fallen angels are held. These chains don't depend on the strength of the one bound. They depend on the power of the one who holds the key.